Going on to Rome's. So we're entering year 3 of the Jordan Addison experience, and there's been some ups on the field. There's been some downs off the field. Right. And coming in as a first-round pick back in the day, let's get paid. And he certainly has stepped up, and he and Justin freaking Jefferson have formed the best wide receiver duo in the National Football League. And you can't sneeze at that. You can't poo-poo that. Although with Addison, I think that he's a very talented individual on his own right, but you do question how much of Addison's production is being opposite of Justin Jefferson. Now, obviously in 2023, Jefferson missed a lot of time with that hamstring, and Addison was his own man. But can Addison be a true blue wide receiver one? That's a question. Now, that's a question we won't have to answer here in Minnesota, but if he is traded or moves on, that is the question. Now, the idea of trading Addison has been bandied about quite a bit during this offseason for a myriad of reasons. But the Vikings, as we said, receiver might be a low-key need as Addison is facing a suspension and or, I don't know, maybe they trade him because I think that he would be the most attractive trade piece on the team in terms of his youth, in terms of value, in terms of future value. Also, you look at Jalen Speedy-Nailor in a contract year. Plus, I mean, Naylor did very well last year filling in for Addison when Addison was out with that ankle injury. But, do you see Naylor as a consistent wide receiver 2, or is he just a really good wide receiver 3? And the best wide receiver 4 in NFL history. Don't know. You do have Rondale Moore, except his knee injury may complicate things heading into training camp. Tim Jones, special teamer. And other than that, it's what are you excited about after Jefferson and Addison? Don't really know. But Addison, his career numbers, you can't sneeze at him, right? And he's definitely put up comparable numbers to Devontae Smith. I think that he's in that category in terms of wide receiver 2s, but wide receiver 2s are getting paid a lot of money nowadays, and that's something that the Vikings will have to ask themselves down the line. Even though Addison, first-round pick, the Vikings have 3 more years, including that 5th-year option, but I don't know. But long story longer, Matt Perino, who's a Bills beat writer over at Syracuse.com, floated out a scenario for the Vikings and the Buffalo Bills. And, of course, we know that, hey, the Vikings trading a mercurial wide receiver to the Buffalo Bills kind of works out for the Vikings. Yeah. Hey, Brandon Beane, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I'm Brandon Beane. Yeah. This is what Perino wrote in terms of Bills trade options. 2 other names to monitor are New Orleans Saints receiver Chris Olave, who does come with a concerning concussion history, and maybe Minnesota receiver Jordan Addison. The Vikings just gave All-Pro receiver Justin Jefferson a monster new deal, and Addison will be extension eligible after the 2025 season. The Bills and Vikings have pulled off a trade in the past for a big-time receiver, and Beane should look into Addison's availability. From the outside looking in, Addison seems to have played his best ball when Jefferson was out of the lineup in 2023. He's a vertical threat who can win at all 3 levels. I think he'd be a fun addition to the Bills offense. And right now with the Bills offense is, so basically you have Keon Coleman, who didn't pan out as a rookie, except I still have high hopes for him. Plus he's hilarious, right? I feel like being funny gives you a lot of leeway. And they signed Josh Palmer in free agency. Josh Palmer, he of the Caleb Evans interception, this turned into a touchdown. Just frustrating, right? They did extend Khalil Shakur as well. They brought in Laviska Shenault, former second-round pick out of Colorado. And overall, they have some pieces. Curtis Samuel's there chilling, but Addison would be wide receiver 1 in this group, right? And even though Keon Coleman's rising up, they like Shakir a lot, Addison, hands down, would be their wide receiver 1. Now, question of why this could work out. Why consider trading Addison? So you do have the looming 3-game suspension, and also the Vikings have to ask themselves, do they plan on extending him? Because he is extension eligible after the season, but you see the market rates for some of these wide receiver 2s, $20 million plus. Do the Vikings plan on going down that road? Do the Vikings plan on doing a light version of Higgins and Jamar Chase, where you're having a lot of money sunk into the top 2 receiver spots? Obviously, you're not getting rid of Jefferson, but is that the plan? And also, 3 years down the line, you're going to have to be starting to think about J.J. McCarthy extension money as well. Also, is this peak trade value for number 3? Because Addison is coming off another very solid season, and I think that it's a spot where maybe this is the best that you're going to be able to do, because I don't see Addison busting out for a 1,200, 1,300 yard season with Jefferson in that mix, right? Also, can you find comparable production in the draft? It's not a great or deep wide receiver draft class, but can you find some of that value in-house? Can you go down that route? Also, with Addison, you can't ignore the off-the-field stuff. 2 off seasons in a row. Like, is he getting it? It seems like he is. Like, it seems like he is a lot more receptive to mentorship from Jefferson, listening to Keenan McCardle, etc. But, I mean, this offseason, is everything going to be hunky-dory? Is he just going to be putting in that work and staying out of trouble and all that stuff? Or is he not getting it? And would some other teams be willing to accept all that? Because it seems in contrary to what the Vikings have built as a team and as a culture. All right, so putting yourself before the team, me instead of we. But I don't know, like a potential trade offer. So there's going to be a value there, and especially the Bills picking at the back end of the first round. It isn't a normal 2 first-round picks for a receiver. No, like the third to last pick in the first round. So here's what we would offer. So Addison for number 30, 4th rounder this year, 132, a 2026 6th-round pick. You could put conditions on that, sure. And then quarterback Mike White. I love Mike White, man. So having him as a backup, as a contingency plan for Flacco and or whatever the Vikings do at QB2, QB3, yes, go and get. So that would be our initial shot across the bow. And they do have 2 second-round picks as well. One of them is from the Vikings because it came as part of the Houston Stephon Diggs deal, which is kind of funny to me. But I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, I would rather keep Jefferson Addison together and just ride out his rookie contract and get as much production as possible over these next 2 years. Maybe trade him after putting in that 5th year option and going from there. But I don't know. Like, I feel like Addison is very talented. I don't think that there's enough in-house that would take the sting out of losing him. And draft-wise, that's always a bit of a crapshoot. So, in my opinion, unless you just get blown away by a trade offer, keep Addison and Jefferson together for at least the next 2 years, and then you can assess after that. And having J.J. McCarthy have 2 elite receiving options to start his career, that's a damn good start. I would just go from there. But your thoughts are thoughts. Should the Vikings consider trading Jordan Addison to the Bills? We'll see. Let us know your thoughts, comment section. You guys are the best to do. Skull production value.